So, good morning everybody. This is the December 14 meeting for Darien Beautification Commission. And as usual, our first item is to approve the minutes. This time we have to approve the minutes of the last meeting and the meeting before, so October 12th and November 7th. So, could we consider those together? Motion to approve Elizabeth.
Second.
Second Tracy. All in favour?
Aye.
It's good to have a quorum today. All right, second item on the agenda, it says status of vacancies. There's only one vacancy. So, and I think thanks to Alicia's work on Instagram, the last post that you had saying that we needed help, has produced 3 potential applicants, and I've responded to each of them. I checked in with Linda O'Leary yesterday, and she said that at least one of them has come in to speak and pick up a form. So I think that's very positive and bodes well for us getting back to being 9 again. Okay, the third
Can I ask
item.
a question on
Yes,
that out
of
of
course.
curiosity? When you have 3 applicants, how do you pick which one?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that all of them will pursue it. So in a way, it's almost better to have more, because it'll really be, unless someone has some real gating item against them, which it's hard to imagine around here. I suspect that only 1 or 2 will go forward, and it'll probably be whoever gets there first. But it's essentially they'll be interviewed by the Board of Selectmen. I think that's more procedural than anything. I can't see. I think they just want to make sure that you have people who are interested in the topic.
We do try to also balance the numbers, Republican, Democrat.
Oh, well, we have to do that.
Yeah,
by
so-
law. Yeah, we have to do that.
Can't have it be all one and not the other.
Yeah, we've been pretty well balanced throughout, even when we haven't had a full complement of people. Okay. So, the next item I'm very excited about. Sarah Schwartz has volunteered with absolutely zero pressure, zero pressure from anybody, to be our secretary, which is wonderful news for me because now she can help me with the agenda and minute taking and any other administrative issues, which aren't that many. And so, if everybody's happy with that, could I have someone appoint?
I'll appoint.
Motion to appoint. Great.
Motion to
Tracy,
appoint.
wonderful. All right. And a second.
Jackie.
3. I know everybody's in favour, and I'm just pick the first hand I see. So all in favour? I'm not hearing any dissent.
Yes.
So Sarah, you're our new secretary.
I'm it.
That's
All right.
wonderful.
Accurate.
And I was thinking actually one thing that we probably ought to do differently, and I'm remiss at this, is because even though the meetings are once a month, they do kind of creep up on you, and I say, oh gosh, I must do the agenda, and so I rattle it off and then send it to Linda for posting. But I caught Alicia unaware, so maybe the best thing to do is if you could circulate something to the commission first, make sure everyone's okay, and see if anyone has anything they want to add, and then we'll send something that's kind of more vetted by the group. And then we can always add, as long as it's not a special meeting, we can add items if we think of something.
Circulate the
agenda.
The agenda and
then
request for any.
yes, and then absorb the feedback, and if we don't get any feedback, just send it to Linda for posting. And I just try to send it to her a few days before, so that if anybody's interested in attending our meetings, I mean, people other than the commission members, they know what we're going to talk about, and they can also watch live on Channel 79 or look at it later. So it does need to be posted in advance. But
And what are the dates? So if we send out a meeting reminder, we should do that. Well, when does it need to go to Linda? How far in advance does it
well, I
need to
said
go to Linda?
Lisa.
Oh, Lisa.
So Lisa Buxton, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I try to send it about a week in advance, but I'm not always very good. So I think 3 or 4 days is fine.
Okay, and then, so with that being the case, in order to give everybody a chance to read the email and be reminded, should that be sent?
I just give a couple of days to the commission before that.
Okay,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right, great. So
Um,
like the Monday,
Like the Monday,
Yeah,
and wait till
perfect.
Wednesday, if you don't hear back, then
and
she's
then
Yeah.
send to Lisa.
to
All
Lisa.
right, perfect, okay. Okay,
And it's not, as long as it's not a special meeting, it's not that we have to be religious about everything. So there's some flexibility if people think of things later.
Yeah.
If something comes up in the meeting.
great.
But that is a magnificent help.
I'll also send out, since we've already put together the calendar dates for next year, which have been posted and sent out.
Yes.
I'll also send that out so everybody can already add 2023
Mhm.
to their calendars.
Yeah.
So it's
Uh,
nice when it's all written out.
Yes.
It's not an easy
Thanks.
calendar ad, so I'll send that too. Sure.
But basically I've been doing that each year. We have to do that. We have to send the town clerk a document that has the dates and the time and the location of all of our meetings in advance. And that's what forms the basis of what's on the website, so people know. Okay. Alicia, update on Adopt a Garden.
Yeah, I don't have too much of an update. I created a shared Google Doc where everyone could go in and elect to take ownership of a different piece of the process. One thing I corresponded with Juliet about is when I had volunteered to take this over from Sue, the program, it's certainly something I can manage on, an ongoing basis, but I was surprised at kind of the status of the gardens and the lack of paperwork and the substance to pick up from. So I think it will be a lot for me to oversee it on my own. There's just a lot to do.
But I thought we had set up a kind of informal committee. There was Amanda was helping you, didn't she do the visits with you?
No, I did the visits. Amanda was in Maine still, away for the summer.
But I do remember her volunteering, and there was somebody else too, was it?
Yes, she did. But like I wrote to you, we were gonna meet one time. I feel like I was sick. Then someone else had something, and so, and since we're all only together once a month, it's difficult. If we extended the meeting rather than going through the agenda, we actually spend, a half hour on the program. I feel like we could make progress, but it's.
Yeah, but like I said to you before, I think when you have everybody doing everything, it becomes very difficult to coordinate, and you really need a committee. And I thought you had a kind of committee working on it, and the idea was that the committee would work, report back, and then you would get input from the full commission. But I think that 9 people all doing different pieces and coordinating, I think it becomes really messy. That's why we have committees. So my recommendation is that you have that, because I have you had input? Have you had input from the members so far?
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I agree with what you're saying. I just think that, just to be candid, I have 3 young kids. I just wasn't expecting to overtake the program and find that there was no documentation, many of the gardens not looking like they've been tended to for, a couple years. So it's just a lot to pick up for me, and that I am not too proud to say that I may not be the right person to oversee it. Because of the amount of time. If it's going to be one person doing it, I would love to manage the program once we get it to a running place, but I can't, I don't have the time, and I would hate to not do a good job.
That's fine. So so I guess my question was though, have you had input from any of the members on the Google document?
I didn't check it yesterday. I know Sarah had signed up for a couple of things. Has anybody else?
No,
I
sorry.
printed it.
I have to do it.
I looked at it here. I'm happy to help you.
Yeah,
I
I'm
would
going
love
to do
to
it.
help.
I'm going to do
Yeah.
it, Alicia.
So I put in there a whole bunch of names of companies we could reach out to. It's just a list, but they're chamber members, so I thought it'd be nice to just have them there. So I'm happy to meet with you offline if you want to do that.
I can help.
Yeah, so why
I'm
don't
happy to
the
do
3 of
that
us
as
just
well.
try and even chat?
Can you just give some background just to what were you guys, how were you discussing Adopt a Garden over the past like couple of years?
Well, we've really left it to Sue. She would report back. She is the one that had the relationships with the various sponsors. She would be the one to place, it's not really advertisements, but information in the Darien Times that we're looking for sponsors, and she would follow up with the ones we have. She managed to get one new one since I've been chair, and I think he's worked out pretty well. But it's a very difficult process to find new people. What I had suggested to Alicia in order to actually get things moving was that it might be good to send a communication, whether that's an email, a letter, to each of the existing sponsors, basically describing what it is we have in mind, because I thought that would be a good way of bringing all the thoughts together and actually setting out what it is we're planning to do, what the existing problems are, and why we need to relaunch. So once all those thoughts are documented, and I thought, well, I said Alicia, but whoever produces something like that, it's a tangible piece of work product that could be brought back to the Commission that people can look at and say, well, how about this, how about that? But in a very big document with lots of line items, I think it's a lot harder for people to focus, especially a big group of 9. So I don't. My personal suggestion would be to document something concrete that can go to the sponsors. If you get no response, then I think it's a follow-up with personal meeting, and it does give you some idea of their level of interest. But I think you're absolutely right. There has to be some accountability, and our sponsors need to be doing more than they are doing. And then I had suggested that each of us look at the list of businesses. Right now it's a mix of businesses, non-profits, and think maybe they could be in separate columns, commercial enterprises and non-profits. I think it'd be very difficult to get a non-profit to sponsor. They may be able to contribute something or partner with someone, but actually, having said that, that's not true. It depends on the non-profit. The Board of Realtors, I think, is quite active around town. But then we'll have a more manageable list. I think if each of us looks at that and says, oh, I have a contact here, here, or here, then that person can be responsible for going to that business or just calling their friend or their contact and saying, this is what we're planning. And the talking points would be in that communication that's gone already to the other sponsors. This way we actually have some work product and an articulation of what it is we're trying to achieve. So that's my 2 cents worth for moving forward. And if you have a committee, I think that would be where that action could take place. But if you all as a committee meet and say, no, we want to do it a different way, that's fine too. But have that meeting, and yes, have it outside of our regular monthly meeting, because we have a lot of other stuff to deal with here. And then report back and then get the input from everybody. But, it's whatever you decide as a committee, really, as your sort of next steps.
I think we definitely, it needs to be addressed with whoever takes on the gardens, that there has to be some responsibility to maintain them, and there has to be some, whether they hire a landscaper or they are a landscaper, but there's got to be some sort of plan. Yes, we'd like to advertise your business, and by putting a sign up, and we thank you for supporting us, but this is our expectation, so.
Yeah, and one of the suggestions I had would be to say, look, in this communication, if you are finding it too difficult to maintain, then let us help you. Let us, let's discuss the issue, and if we feel as a commission that we can do this, we will source the help for you. I mean, it's going to be tight and somewhere. We will find the help, and you will pay that person. If you yourself don't have the wherewithal to do it. And I think for a non-landscaping business, that's going to be essential. We'll either have to source the landscaper or they will have to do it because they can't, obviously they can't do it themselves. So if we want to think about motivating people, maybe that could be a way of making it easier for them, because I think just like we do, we get excited about a new garden and then the next year it's, oh my goodness, we've got to work on it. And so,
I like that idea only because then it will make it stay nice, basically.
yes, yeah,
Essentially, if they can give them money, we can make sure a landscaper can
yes,
maintain it and keep it looking nice.
yeah,
I think then they look good, which is the whole goal, is that people arrive in our town, we have these beautiful gardens, not these sort of,
yeah. And the other thing is that some of these
Neglected
businesses,
gardens, yeah.
I mean, they don't really know what it is they want in their gardens. We can help with that. And if you leave it to a landscaper, you're going to get burning bush, you're going to get potentially dubious plants. So I think adding a level of, not necessarily control, but oversight and input from the commission wouldn't be a bad thing anyway. And I
Well, if we
think,
presented them with a list of plants we would like to see used on the different islands,
Yeah.
the different gardens, maybe that's a way to approach it.
yes, or at least included, and you'll need annuals for colour, and
Yeah.
that's fine, and they can go ahead with their colour schemes. But I think
So
that
perennials, you're not starting from scratch every year.
yeah, and I mean, my only hesitation is that landscapers are in such high demand all through the summer that we'd need to know, maybe through our own contacts. And I know my landscaper will do things, but he costs an arm and a leg. And as we know, we've had him before.
And then how would that work for paying them?
Well, I guess I don't know, we'd have to figure this out, because if we bill the landscaper for the work, we don't have to pay tax. If we get reimbursed, I mean, we could do that, we could hire them and they get reimbursed by the business. I mean, I'm not trying to avoid taxes or anything, I don't want to do anything that's kind of untoward because the business is, avoiding tax. I mean, eventually it's all a wash anyway with what they sell and what they buy, but I guess I could talk to, we could talk to our finance director, Jen, about that, how that would actually be managed. But
I think we could, it would be like a partnership, and we would then get the invoice from, whether it's Wilmer or Elder or your guy or whoever we hire, get the invoice, we would pay it and present it to the business.
I think that's the better way to do it, because we are then on top of it, and otherwise we're hiring these people and they may or may not get paid on time, and then it's another follow-up. So maybe this kind of control within the commission is probably
Because
good.
each person that gets paid through the town has a vendor number, and that way it's a way to maintain vetted vendors.
Could they pay up front?
Yeah.
Unexpected.
Yes, as long as we could morning, as long as we could estimate correctly.
Because we can always
Right, 'cause you-
deposit money into the Adopt a Garden account
Yes.
and draw it down from there.
Right.
So that's,
Yeah.
we could certainly do that.
Okay, well,
And this is the time of year really to work with the landscapers, because they're not busy come January.
get
They're,
first dibs on them.
so we can get first dibs on stuff and get on the calendar for them and so forth. So this is a good time of year.
Well, the current setup is where somebody sponsors it and someone maintains it, so everything's signed with those two. So my feeling is that we should offer to maintain it as almost like a last resort if we're
Exactly.
struggling to get people.
Absolutely, it's really to flesh them out in the discussion, particularly when you know that you're talking to someone who has basically abandoned their garden and it's full of mugwort or whatever. Then discreetly we can offer it. But I agree with you. I wouldn't want to create more work if we don't have to. If we have people who are looking after their gardens and paying, then yeah, definitely leave those alone. This is more for the troublesome spots,
And there might be,
and a way of encouraging the new spots to be adopted, because we're helping you administratively.
yeah, I mean, we could certainly, there are a number of gardens right now, we could certainly hire an elder to do,
Yeah,
a winter cleanup right now.
but
So,
we know that we as a commission can't do it. I mean, it's hard enough just doing small spaces for us. So, Amanda, we're talking about setting up a smaller committee for the Adopt a Garden relaunch.
That's great.
And yeah, I know you had expressed interest in
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So, actually, we end up with a mini commission.
that's it, we got Colleen and
Yeah.
Amanda and Alicia and
I think it will help the
Yes.
town.
All right.
Sarah, that'd be great.
And so, Alicia, what do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'll reach out to these ladies. I mean, at this point, I would say it's January when we would all get together.
Yeah.
Is our next meeting January 11th? Is that
Should be,
correct?
yeah.
Honestly, I don't know that it'd be before, like, personally, I'm leaving next week and not back until the 3rd, so I'll set something up for
Yeah.
January for us to meet.
And these are, remember, these are self-imposed deadlines. It's not that we want to sit on this for the next 2 years, but
That's a good idea.
Would you guys want to meet today after this meeting? Because
Yeah, that's what Amanda just said.
Oh, funny, then you, yeah, because I'm not back to the 8th, so I won't be
Okay.
able to meet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or we could meet after the
January 11th.
January 11th meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
to do that, then we'll not put this on the agenda for next month because you'll
Yeah.
be meeting separately.
Okay.
All right. Okay, that sounds good. Now, update on the Roten Heights Shopping Centre appearance. This was an issue that was raised by Alicia, and I had suggested following up with who I thought might be in charge, but now we hear from, I thought building department might be in charge, but apparently it's a private developer and there's no contract with the town, and so there's limited action that the town can take. But you've spoken to Frank Kemp.
I saw him over the weekend. He always does the lights for Darien Art Center for the next year. But he didn't have time to talk to me, so I emailed him. He only did it one day. I thought he was doing it both days.
Oh, right.
And I emailed him, and he didn't email me back. So I have to just call him on the phone. Like he's just, he does a lot of different things, and
Yes,
he's just
yeah.
bad at emailing back.
You're right.
What
Okay.
is his title or position in the town government?
Well, he's on the RTN.
Yeah. And he's
But-
head of one of the committees, isn't he?
Yeah.
Public Health and Safety?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just call him on the phone. and see
Yeah.
if we
I didn't
can
catch
get
the
him,
name.
Frank
What is
Kemp.
it? Frank Kemp.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
It's in the email that I forwarded to
Okay,
everybody.
yeah.
So the basic idea that I saw in Jim Cameron's emails from me was that the Blight Review Board wants to have their mission or their role expanded so that they can look not just at ugly private homes but commercial buildings too. So apparently they've spoken to the Board of Selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen have kicked that over to the RTM. So that will be a very, very long process, by which time probably the Roten Heights will be cleaned up. But anyway, I think that's not a bad idea anyway. So for the future, if this happens, then the Blight Review Board would be able to have jurisdiction.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good result. It may not help this particular situation, but
I mean, it may not be the timing we would like.
yes, but I think it doesn't, in some respects, I suppose our experience has been good and we haven't had this issue before, so the Blight Review Board has always concentrated on residences, but this is a situation in which, to me, it makes sense to expand their remit, and then they really are the more appropriate board to be looking at this. All right, well, we can see what happens, and if...
Well, at least the other end of Neurotin Ave is starting to look a little better with the construction kind
yes, completing.
completing
Yeah.
the stone walls done and some of the plantings they've done. So I mean, at least it's not all a bomb zone.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately, the end I live on is, but you know, but it is getting better.
You're talking the West Avenue side, or?
Well, no, both West
Oh.
Avenue side, but also even Heights Road, the end toward like Equinox and
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
City
yes,
Bank.
that
I
is
mean,
starting.
that end is starting
Yes,
to look a lot,
yeah.
lot nicer, and if we
Yeah.
could just,
Yeah.
You can actually figure out how to get to the bank now.
Yes.
and Walgreens. And we have new addresses back there now, that we just put on the town records.
Okay, well, I was just going to say a couple of things about cleanups. A few of us were working the other night, I can't believe, on the slopes, and I was thinking, gosh, it's really staying late out here, and then realised that I was standing under a lamp. Trying
Hence
to
our
get
big
everything
pile
down.
at the bottom of the staircase. It's still there, because we
I
will
know.
continue it.
Well, yeah. So we haven't quite finished on the slopes. If anybody would like, just I looked today. And I thought, I don't know when I'm going to be able to do
We
it.
cut a lot of the stuff back on the side closer to the building,
Yes.
and like, you know, just kind of winterized a bunch of it, because it was just looking a little scraggly. We said, even
So-
the birds won't want to live here, right? Yeah, so
Oh, they do. They're probably all in that. They're in that.
they're probably in that pile of junk.
Golden, yeah,
To the
the
golden
golden rod. So there is more that needs to be done. So if anybody feels like taking some loppers, Tracy, Elizabeth, and I have worked very hard there, but it still needs more work. And Tracy, Elizabeth, and I, and Sarah worked on the 2 planters outside of the town hall, directly outside, on the side of the door. And thank you for all the contributions of pine cones and greenery. We had a really good selection, and it's pretty nice.
We had snippers, and we helped ourselves to some stuff around town hall too.
Oh, we did, yes. Actually, there was some really good stuff, wasn't there? We did trimming anyway.
That's it, we're winter pruning.
Yeah, and so we won't do anything, well, apart from just finishing up this work, and when that's done, will you talk to Anthony about getting that pile shifted? Yeah. All right.
And they did move the planter,
Oh, yes.
and they broke the planter.
The one outside the post
Oh,
office.
right,
Yeah.
And I'm trying to decide, I have to really go look at it to see if it's worth still trying to use it. And either doing the epoxy cement on the base or putting it in such a way that it does hold together and it's not in a place where the kids are going to climb on it or anything.
Is it just the, well,
just
it's
the base.
but the base is quite, so sometimes what I do and things like this, just
kind of dig it into the ground a little.
dig them into the ground.
I have to look to see if
If
it's
it's-
broken though.
Yeah, yes,
So-
because if it's cracked on the side, it might not work.
So, but that teaches me at NAG Public Works so much. We'll move this planter.
Well, in their defense, it must
Yeah.
be pretty fresh.
It was
Yeah.
old. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's old.
And it doesn't, right now, it's such a mess right there on that street, you know, it doesn't, I don't think anybody's really looking, you know, they just know it's a mess. There's no way to make it look better right now. It's like, maybe putting.
Well, no, the planter's here now.
Oh.
Yeah, the planter is here in the lower lot, propped up against a rock.
And it's still listing, isn't it?
So we'll see. If we can use it, we'll use it. If not, we'll take it to the dump.
Okay. And Instagram account, well, the only thing I wanted to say on that was that it seems to have done the trick on getting more people to be interested in joining our commission. And I did try to take pictures of the, I told you, Alicia, I tried to take pictures of the planters, and they just look awful from distance. So the close-ups look fine. And it's hard to post a picture and say, well, you really have to see it in real life. It does look a lot better. I don't think
I
that's...
put some up about I don't know, a day and a half ago, so there's some up now.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, I hadn't checked. Okay. All right. You managed to do
I
something.
think we should take one maybe on the January 11th, maybe right after, like all of us just standing outside, ready to start the new year.
Yeah.
You know? And just, you know, something.
Especially
pretty-
we have a new person.
Right? And just take
None
one
of us.
fresh picture and just, you know,
Yeah,
start the
that's
new
a
year
good
that way.
idea.
So everybody just be ready to do an Instagram.
Yeah.
I had a question, and I was just wondering if anyone had any thoughts on this. Like, do you think it would make sense for us on the Instagram account to put like tips for, oh, now like put out your hummingbird feeder?
Yes,
June,
absolutely,
develop-
yeah.
You know, drain your hoses, bring in your garden furniture, just like little things like that.
I think it would be
That's a great.
very
idea.
helpful.
Don't forget to feed your birds. And
Yeah.
Feed
Yeah.
your birds. Oh, this is our favorite. Oh, go here. This is a wonderful place to look for native
Well,
plants.
that's right.
and-
Yes, and I had sent some pictures to Alicia because I think to explain what we're doing on the slopes, to show the plants. I sent a picture of the winterberry with the berries that are critical
Right.
for the birds at this time of year. That sort of thing, as an educational outreach, would be very
And
very
I'm
helpful.
happy to help with that. I was just thinking like, you know, now's the time to put your hummingbird feeder
Martha
out.
Stewart does that on her
I was
Instagram.
just the
Yes.
same thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
follow Martha Stewart, but
Maybe just start following her and just pluck the same ideas. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Well,
great.
you
Yeah.
can look at any of the pollinator pathway postings, because the different pollinator pathways around Fairfield County all have not the same, but they don't have the same photos, but they have the similar concepts about
right.
leaving your leaves in place, keeping the sticks. That's why it hurts me to take those down. But
But we're not leveling them,
Right.
for the most
well,
part.
no, we're not. But also, this is a public planting, which is a little bit different. We have people who don't really understand.
It's gotta be a
what to
little
do there.
tidy.
But even
But I
after
think
our
incremental
meeting-
education through that is
Right.
very good. Actually, and while we're on the topic of educational things and things that the Beautification Commission can do, I just wanted to mention that the town has received silver status under the Sustainable CT program, and I forget the exact points, but we needed a certain number of points in order to get silver status, and we got more than we was actually required. And Carolyn Bain told me that I don't think she was just being polite, but she said in large part it was due to the work that we have done on the slopes. There were points given for all the plantings that we've done on the slopes for Noroton Heights, and our other initiatives around education, the signage down there, what we've done at the berm, or what we're doing at the berm anyway. And all of that contributed to receiving points under the program. So I'm very pleased to think that we were, a good contribution there. Okay, so the next item was I put Homegrown National Park because I'm still struggling with this. This is the website that has been established by Doug Talmina, who's the guru on native plants and biodiversity. He's an entomologist with the University of Delaware, and he's trying to obviously to encourage people to plant native plants, avoid pesticides, etc., all over the country. And he's set up this what's supposed to be an interactive map of plantings all over. So I've been trying to get our slopes registered on the map, and they sort of are, but the listing was very kind of vague. It was Fairfield County, Darien, but you couldn't really see anything. So then I got an email saying, oh, we've updated the map, now you can be more precise. So I went in, and all I'm able to do is put in 2 Renshaw Road, but it still doesn't have a whole lot more. So I think that they're refining as they go, but I think that's going to be, again, once they've refined that map, I think that'll be very helpful again for the Sustainable CT program, because the more that we are publicising what we do, broadening our reach, it all goes to points on that program. So I'm still working on that, hoping that maybe I'm doing something wrong. I can check with one of my kids who wants to do my informal IT department. So I'll keep working on that. And then I'll ask everyone if they could think about new project ideas. It's not that we lack things to do, particularly with, I know that the Dr. Garden relaunch is going to be very time consuming for that group, and we all need to give input. But I was thinking of, we're known for that, we're known for, the other work we're doing, the hanging baskets, and it would be nice to think that maybe we could launch something that's manageable, or just have a couple of events that we can manage.
Oversee?
Everybody's rolling their eyes like, no.
What do you mean, like a garden tour, like something where you?
Well, yeah, so last year the Pollinated Pathway did a garden tour, and we put the slopes on the garden tour, and I was here for a few hours. We had a few visitors. It was well received. The thing is, it's always the people that you expect to see, the people who already kind of embrace the concept of rewilding, natural landscapes. It would be lovely if we could reach more people. And one thought I had that I didn't think would be too time consuming or too much work for us would be to have a plant giveaway, because right now everything on the slopes is so prolifically spreading that it seemed to me to be win-win if we could pull them out and give them to other people. So we're giving things away, which people always like, and we could have have the giveaway later in the spring. It really doesn't take long to pull those things out. I mean, sometimes I don't even dig them. I just pull them by the roots and pot them up. And so I don't think that would take too long. And if we Instagrammed it, put it on the website to say this is what we're going to do, then just a few of us could be there to talk about the plants or just.
How many plants do we really have to give away? Is there a lot?
Well, we would have. There's
A lot of
about.
goldenrod.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are about 15 different varieties on the slopes, and what most of them spread either through roots or by my seeds. So the roots now, after 3 years, are just coming up randomly. There was a planting plan that was all structured so that the smaller things were below and the taller things at the top, and now that's getting mixed up. And the birds and the wind have done a great job of moving seeds around so that the smaller butterfly weed is now at the top of the slopes. So things like that we just pull out and try and reorder. And I mean, I can identify them all even when they're small. So we would have potentially like 15 varieties, and then I don't know, I mean, it could be 20, 30 of each plant. I think it's probably too much for a giveaway, but I can see a whole lot of growth there for next year. So that was just
It's
one way.
well established now, both
Yeah.
sides now, because
Yeah, yeah,
with the staircase being done, which
Yeah.
by the way is starting to crack.
What about also doing, like giving away like organic mulch in the spring? Like,
Well,
remember
we-
when that one we did at the dump and whoever that
Yes.
company was that. and
that one
people
is
showed-
organised with Public Works, and I've certainly in that projection, the budget projections, I assumed that we would contribute some money for that too.
I think that's a great, even if we did it somewhere separate, like in just. to
Oh, are you
promote-
suggesting we do the plant giveaway then, and so combine it?
Maybe, I think it's a good, there was really good feedback when we were giving out.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was surprised the amount of people that will drive and come and get it.
Well, people do mulch, they
Yeah,
really do
we
mulch,
have
so
to.
the idea of free mulch especially,
Uh-huh.
that's,
And dads would be coming with their kids and filling up that one bucket we would give.
Mm.
I think it's and then if we just promote us a little bit that way too.
Well, that's,
You know?
we'll be doing that, assuming they do that again this year, we will be part of that, and that's on the list of.
What time of year do you do this? Because if it was
May.
something,
It was cold,
May,
wasn't
so maybe combine it with something Memorial Day related?
Or like Earth
That
Day.
fair?
Well, this
or
is Earth Day,
Day?
this event
Okay.
It's
is,
April?
yeah, Earth Day, April, and it takes place at the dump, so people have to come to the dump. I don't think that we want
Transfer
to.
station.
So the transfer station. It makes me think of a train terminal, you're transferring trains, or you're in
Just
transit.
transferring
Yeah.
garbage.
It's the fancy name for it.
Okay, well, you know where I mean. The dump. Yeah,
But
the
what
dump.
if we did the mulch?
So that takes place there, so we could do if people are supportive of the idea of the giveaway, and we don't have to decide that today, we could combine it, so like Amanda says, you've got the mulch
Yeah.
and you've got the plants.
Yes.
They will be pretty small then in April, that's the only thing. So I guess what we could do is have it as a kind of a launch program, see if people are interested, and then we can say, oh, we'll have more plants, they'll be bigger later on. I don't want to give us too many activities, but
That would be good.
it's a thought. All
We
right.
do it
You
all.
might be able to dig up some of the grasses over at the berm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, we need to see what kind
I
of
know.
damage is
I
going to
really could, yeah.
happen there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was mine. Did anybody else have any ideas for?
Were we going to do the garden at the police station?
No.
Good.
No. Oh, yeah. You missed that meeting. They've gravelled it.
Yes, they have gravel. It looks
Yes.
good.
Yeah, it looks
But I
really.
know there's a lovely woman there who would oversee
Yes.
if we planted anything, but
I didn't hear back, and I went over, and wow.
it was all gravel now.
Yes. So I was kind of happy.
It's now
So did anybody else have any ideas?
Well, I have a question, and I don't know if it goes in this category or in new business, but I was wondering I know there's a lot of unknowns related to Great Point and the Great
Yeah.
Island
Mm-hmm.
and what's happening there, but I didn't know whether we should get involved in some way, because whatever they're planning to do we want to have a say in what they're planting, or what, what the goal is? I don't know. I know it's too early, but in a way, what if,
I plan to have a say, but it probably won't be via beautification,
okay,
because I have a lot of kind of strong feelings about what should happen.
Yeah.
And I suppose it borders on the political, so I think where we would come in is if the Board of Selectmen wanted help, if they had decided they're
Yeah.
going to do some kind of plantings and they needed help, but they might also consult the pollinator pathway.
okay.
So yes, I
And
mean,
or the garden club.
mm.
Mhm.
So
No,
is
not
it in
to
their
agree.
court to then reach out to committees?
Yeah,
Okay, it
yeah.
just occurred to me that there's a sort of great unknown there.
I,
Well,
What if
that's
they
part of
start-
the problem, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
You hear so many different.
Yeah,
I think we need to see how it all initially pans out before
Yes.
we offer to help, because,
There may be a role.
yeah,
Yeah.
there may be a role for us, but
okay,
we have to see.
I was thinking of sort of.
Park and Rec will be involved, I'm sure, too.
Oh, yeah.
for sure, yeah,
I was actually thinking of more manageable projects.
yeah, no, yeah.
80 acres. We can't even.
That's a
do
lot of
red
trees.
lights.
It's a lot of weeding.
Anyway, well, if people have ideas, just let me know. I'm going to have to go shortly, but we may be done. And Elizabeth, my vice chair, will take over.
Well, we just have the budget real quick.
Yeah, we can do that.
And I have two other questions I have to bring up too.
Oh yeah, do you want to do that now?
Oh, yeah, so one of them was about our bridges, and I don't know if it's us or somebody else, but I'm noticing as I drive a lot on I-95, some bridges over towns look nice, and ours looks, particularly the one on Norotan Avenue, that crosses over I-95 is really rusty and unattractive, both from the road below and even just driving on the road. And I don't know if that's us or anybody else.
Wait,
That's state.
State property.
So
DOT.
it's DOT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
DOT.
So
Yeah.
who do we who could I?
talk to Ed Gentile.
Ed Gentile.
Yeah, at
Okay.
Public Works.
Just if I could just get somebody to just power wash, it'd be better.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I don't know, the chain link is all nasty and.
he will be the one to tell you where
Okay.
the dividing lines
Okay.
are. And
Exactly.
Yeah, but that is definitely state.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly, and,
Now, what makes it state if it's Norotan Avenue?
Because it crosses over 95. I believe the DOT was the one who, they did the bridge. So,
mhm,
yeah, when they replaced that bridge, it was Connecticut DOT.
mhm.
And DOT is very busy right now, taking trees down everywhere,
Yeah.
Right.
which is a whole nother.
Anyway,
Oh, and then the other thing that had come up is I ran into Kesty Asa, who is the executive director.
Yes, sorry, that I meant to.
And for the Chamber of Commerce, and she said, "Oh, you're on Darien Beautification Committee." And so we do we've been putting up the
wreaths and
lamp
garlands.
post lights and things, and she goes, "And you guys do the baskets, and it's confusing."
And who does the
Why is it
flags?
confusing
Is
to her?
that Public Works?
no, that's monuments and ceremonies and monuments, or
Yeah.
So what
And
was
she
she,
said
what was she
maybe we
like?
could talk about it, consolidating, and I actually followed up and said, what did you actually have in mind? Because we were sort of in a space we couldn't really talk about it, and I haven't heard back. So I didn't know if there was any, I mean, I'm so new, I didn't even know anything really. But
Well,
I guess I'd bring it
I
up.
thought that was an
in
interesting
case.
point, because I was surprised to learn that the chamber did the holiday lights, we
Right.
do the baskets.
Right.
Now Monuments does the flags, that
I'm pretty sure they do.
it's not like one organization. How did
No.
it come to be that we did flowers and other
I
groups
don't know
did?
what the history is, but it could be a division of
Ask
labour,
Cindy.
because
I'd ask,
each,
Sandy rather, maybe Sandy would know.
yeah, but also I think it could be a division of labour, because those are three separate budgets. And if we were to take on, well, I mean, look at the work that Tracy already has administering the
I
honey
think it was
baskets.
the opposite. I think she was wondering if we would like them to take on the baskets. That was the sense.
Oh,
I got.
that's what you.
Yeah. She was
Wow.
like, oh, it's confusing, would you like us, that was the sense, but I don't know, so I didn't
Oh,
want to promise anything or say anything really, because I don't know anything, but I don't
I'm
know.
watering them.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to have, if you want to
So
follow up with that, that's
I'll-
fine, yeah.
I just thought I'd bring it up in this
yeah,
public forum first.
We do not have the budget to take that on without a separate line item. We'd need to
Yeah,
have,
that was my sense, I was like,
Money
we
for
don't
that.
want to take
Well, and I
on.
doubt she was asking that, 'cause also when I was looking into it, that's the chamber's main, like, that they put most of any of their fundraising towards is
yeah,
those, so that's their main
oh,
project.
so maybe they were looking to take over hanging baskets.
I don't know, so.
Let me send the invoice.
Yeah, exactly. But I didn't know if we would want to relinquish it, I just don't know.
Well, maybe it's just a marketing, that each person has their own budget and they have their primary responsibility, but we're all coordinating because the group of three does these things together. Maybe it's just that. I don't know.
Alright.
All right, so you're happy to follow up with that?
I'll follow up on
It seems
that.
like you've got a lot on your plate, so let me know if you want me to help.
Okay, budget?
Uh-huh.
I only paid one invoice this month, and that was the balance that was due on that Mo Green invoice, which when we got the second part of that invoice was just totally out of whack. And Juliet beat them up and said, this isn't acceptable, this isn't what we agreed to. So they reduced it to about what we had agreed to initially, so that was paid off now.
But they did put up a fight and
They
said,
did put up a fight.
this was just, we only gave you an estimate. And
Yeah,
it
well,
is
your estimate is all of a sudden
3 times.
3 times the
Yeah.
amount, so anyway, so that's all set. I just also, Monday, put in a request to pay for half of the baskets. The baskets we came in at, no surprise, we knew that they were gonna go up in price. But the new price for the baskets is $40 a basket, and
And the old price
and
was,
the old price was $38. So it didn't go up horribly, yeah.
How many do we purchase?
But we scaled back, we bought 187 baskets. That includes 36 that the library will pay for. That includes 15 that Penny Glassmeyer pays for the Grove Street project. And that also includes, and they also maintain all those baskets. And then Darien Rowayton Bank also has 8. And they pay us to maintain them. So that's a separate charge they pay us to do.
and Tracy, you should mention that.
And I did mention I increased the prices to everybody.
You're right.
Right, so, because I anticipated that it was gonna be an
Yeah.
increase. So I passed it along gently to everybody, so each area is paying a different price based on what they need.
But we've been able to reduce the overall number of baskets. As
Yeah,
last year
we walked,
yeah,
both Juliet and
In
I
a
walked,
rainy
and then
day.
I walked a second day, and we counted every lamppost on the post road that would get a basket. And some, you have the parking signs, so you can't put a basket. So we eliminated, I used to order 204 baskets, and at one point I even ordered 210 baskets. So we're down to 187, and
which makes
that's,
a big difference.
and that's a big difference.
Huge.
But that's also, out of that 187, we back out the 36 for the library, the 15 for the Grove Street, and 8 for the bank. So, so that's made a difference, and we'll use Elder to water them. We went with the cocoa lined rather than the moss baskets. We may look at next year, but the moss baskets were another $3 a basket to do. And it's kind of on the fence as to, the moss holds the water a little bit better. So we may have to, I think our baskets didn't look terrific this year because I think we were a little slow on getting them watered 3 times a week. So I'll pay much closer attention to that and get elder watering more often than we did initially last year. So that's it.
That's it, great.
So,
And this number is, well, minus the amount of mow green was the number I based our projected budget spend on. I sent around a document saying I think we could spend 1,000 on this, 1,000 on that, or whatever. So we're still on target for that, and I estimated the amount for the hanging baskets, the balance. So I think we're all good
because you and
there.
I talked about basically what it was, so.
Yeah, good.
And the labor involved, we looked at all of Elder's invoices, and Elder did raise his rate from $25 to $30, which
It's
is
still
a
very
bargain
reasonable,
when you
isn't
look
it?
at what other people
Yeah.
are charging,
That's
so.
why he's in demand.
I know.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec keeps trying to use him, and I'm like, separate contract.
Oh.
You call Elder directly, I'm not getting involved.
Tracy, I have a guy who's $30 an hour too, so if
Okay.
you need some additional help,
Yeah,
he's
we may.
nice,
Oh,
let
great.
me know and I can
Okay.
give him some extra help. He's a
Okay.
super nice guy.
Because we do need some help with.
And we may be able to
Berm and
find, do
stuff.
you remember Lucia's landscapers who were really reasonable? They were so reasonable they kept forgetting to send us bills.
Oh.
I felt awful because I mean, how are you paid this stuff?
Yeah, we just bought them coffee and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It was anyway. We might be able to use them, particularly if we need more for a doctor garden. So we should.
We can spread it around.
Yeah.
You know, Elder has been very good to us. We also have Wilmer.
Mhm.
You know, Wilmer's a little bit more price-wise, but
I'm going to have to go. Do
So,
we want
yeah.
to have a motion to adjourn, or do you want?
I
if
think
you want
we're
to keep
good. Everything good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah. Tracy.
I'm in that mood today. I motion every day.
All right.
All right.
This is adjourned. Thank you.